Last week, we covered the 3 individual moves needed to navigate chaos. Face reality, let go of the past, and claim your authority as a knowledge worker. Now comes the harder part, the collective. Like it or not, if we want to exist in a modern society, we have to learn how to work with other people. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The hardest part of doing a job is rarely the job itself. It's working with the other people connected to the job. So how do we navigate this? How can we as individuals successfully work with collective groups of people, aka organizations, instead of against them? That leads us to 4. Learn to integrate, not just execute. Think about the last time you tried to get something approved. Engineering wants more leeway. Sales wanted it shipped yesterday. Legal has some concerns. And your boss wants more profit. Always more profit, right? Everyone has veto power here, and nobody agrees on what final looks like. This phenomenon is not just in your life or in your workplace. It is the structure of every institution in a pluralist society. If you want to survive chaos, you cannot just put your head down and focus solely on your own specific job. You have to become an integrator and an activist. What do I mean? To become an integrator means not focusing on winning an argument, but to find the acceptable middle ground that lets progress happen. Drucker called this skill satisficing, which is the ability to find the acceptable middle ground for all parties. Think about how a city council passes the budget. Nobody gets everything they want, but everyone has to get enough so they won't block the vote and actual progress can be made. That is satisficing, and it's a skill, not a compromise. Now, you might be thinking, okay, I get an integrator, but why an activist? I don't want to get political at work. And I hear you. We live in a very sensitive political climate in 2026, and I am not advocating for wearing certain colors or controversial hats at work. What I mean is taking ownership of the impacts your organization has on the community and stepping up to speak for what is right, to bring consideration for the common good into work discussions. Now, this isn't a plea for self-sacrifice or altruism, as none of those things are really sustainable. Successfully navigating chaos requires not generating more chaos as you go. To survive, we have to realize that keeping the common good in mind is ultimately self-serving, because at the end of the day, the consequences of our actions always circle back to face us, oftentimes magnified and amplified along the way. Now, standing for what is right might be easy to do at a protest, but can you do it at work? Or when you have something to lose? Or when no one else will? Because those moments are precisely where it matters the most. There will always be tension in any organization. This is the reality of a pluralist society. We are surrounded by factions constantly pushing for their own interests and agenda, while holding the power to veto and paralyze progress for all. Being an integrator and an activist means tactfully managing those tensions, keeping the factions in check before they begin overriding the common good. This is the true nature of management, and this quote from C. William Pollard, the former chairman of ServiceMaster, summarizes it perfectly. Knowing what is right and doing it. But finding common ground in fractured systems and speaking up is only just the beginning. That still leaves the most critical question unanswered. What happens to the people, the individuals who are impacted by all this chaos? What do we do about them? 5. Protect your people before the market forces your hand. As a manager, you have one job that the org chart doesn't list. Protect the people on your team from becoming obsolete. As I mentioned before, the consequences of our actions always circle back to face us. oftentimes magnified and amplified. Protecting our people is the same, but in a positive direction, as it creates great synergy in helping each other survive the chaos. When AI eliminates a function of your team, you will be the one that has to have that difficult conversation with your teammates. The question is whether or not you've prepared for this. When faced with this challenge, the traditional approach is to panic and demand protectionism, trying to artificially keep dead jobs alive. That never works, and it only impoverishes society and creates more chaos. Instead, we need what Drucker called redundancy planning. It means looking ahead, anticipating that certain jobs will become obsolete, and proactively providing the training and support people need to transition into new careers. Take, for example, AT&T's $1 billion retraining investment. You see, in the early 2010s, AT&T recognized that nearly half of the company's 250,000 employees lacked the STEM skills required for the future. Rather than mass layoffs and aggressive downsizing to protect immediate profits, AT&T doubled down on their people, launching this massive $1 billion initiative called Workforce 2020, which was later rebranded as Future Ready. The objective here was to retrain approximately 100,000 employees, but as a result of this initiative, over 180,000 employees participated, and the program significantly transformed AT&T's workforce. While it wasn't a perfect initiative and it faced some criticism, and let's be honest, every program will, AT&T ultimately demonstrated that committing to their people, reskilling at a massive scale is not only more effective, but also more cost-efficient than mass layoffs followed by mass hirings. Here's the reality. The real barrier to progress is the psychological fear of being abandoned in a world that people don't understand. If you want to protect your people and help reduce the chaos in society, advocate for systems that protect the people, not the obsolete jobs. Support continuous education, second careers for older workers, and flexible benefits that fit modern, diverse families. The modern workplace can take responsibility for these things. We just need to stand up and allocate resources for them. But where do these resources come from? The simple answer is profit. Now, here is the point where I need to challenge people's belief about profit. Because without understanding this, the rest of the video won't make much sense. We need a major mind shift about the word profit. It gets a bad rep, and trust me, I understand this. I feel it, okay? But real profit isn't about greed. It means not operating at a loss, and it is a genuine deferred cost. In our example, AT&T was able to preserve valuable institutional knowledge and transform a telecom hardware company into a cloud-first infrastructure provider because they were profitable. If they weren't profitable, the 180,000 retrained employees would have likely just been laid off. Think of profit as the seeds a farmer saves to plant next year's crops. We have to earn the cost of staying in business today so we can take care of our responsibilities, fund innovations, and create the jobs of tomorrow. When you understand this, you can help shift the conversation away from claiming all profits are evil to it being the necessary resources required for building a better future. By now, you might have realized that what I am describing are the 5 essential tasks of management. If you want to help steer our society away from chaos and onto a positive path, you have to think like a manager. But why a manager? Why not a leader or a revolutionary, somebody who is openly revolting against the current system? Well, because a revolutionary leader might have a grand vision, but vision without execution is just a slogan. And good managers have to be good leaders. but good leaders might not make good managers. A manager is required because they actually take on the responsibility of maintaining survival today while systematically building the reality of tomorrow. Being a manager doesn't mean you are a corporate enforcer. It doesn't mean you need a fancy title or a corner office. It means taking on the responsibility for making human strengths productive, keeping consideration for the common good, and delivering results for society. As a manager, it can be incredibly empowering to realize that the institutions of our society, that is, the businesses, the schools, the hospitals, etc., these are fundamentally just groups of people trying to get things done. Now, these groups cannot function without management. Without it, they are essentially just mobs. This is where we come in, by facing reality head-on, cutting ties with broken systems of the past, maximizing your own unique knowledge, actively working to integrate our fractured communities, and taking care of your people. You demonstrate the management and leadership required for taking your career to the highest levels possible. Additionally, the contributions you make in your own domain, your own workplace, and your community, all of these actions contribute towards a broader impact on our collective society. You already have the tools, the knowledge, and the ownership to start managing the future now. All we need is the courage to step up and take responsibility. So, what do you think? Which one of these 5 tasks across both parts 1 and 2 of these videos feels the most urgent to you right now? And which ones do you feel like you've been avoiding? Please drop your thoughts in the comment section below. I read every single one of them. If you liked what I talked about today, this is essentially management as a liberal art in practice. The core idea is making sure our organizations function for the betterment of society. If this video challenges the way you see management, please subscribe. It's exactly what this channel is here to do. And if you know somebody who is feeling like the system is just chaos and doesn't know what to do, please send this video to them. It's your efforts that help Drucker's teachings get where they are needed the most. Thank you for spending your time with me today. I really appreciate it. I hope to see you again in the next video. Take care.